All right, so we did our first merch contest, first of many. We're going to give away some of our brand new stickers, which are pretty awesome looking. We asked folks to follow us on Instagram and to like the reel. So I put all of the Instagram handles on a little piece of paper and put them in my UCF hat, and I'm going to pull them out. It's very fair. They're all the exact same size, except for this first one.
Oh,
that's who could this be?
Who do we have?
Linda. This is Linda. This is Joel's mom.
Oh, wow.
Does not have an Instagram.
Oh,
So
right.
we're sending you a sticker as gratitude because she listened to her first episode this week. Thank you very much for your listening and getting the rest of the family on board.
I like to think that my mom was like, I love those kids, but I still want to wait till they get their feet under them in this whole podcast thing before I start listening. Let me wait till about episode
She's like, they got to be 25 episodes in. Right? Thanks for listening, Linda. We appreciate you.
We do. Thanks, Linda.
All right. So have some Instagram handles here. Our first winner is at Sean Whitaker.
Oh.
Way to go. Sean Whitaker, I believe it is, from Florida. This is at Ferdinand at Ferdinand. It's a strange Instagram handle, but I'll be reaching out to you.
I think it's cool that he got at Ferdinand. Yeah, I don't think there's anything strange.
It's a friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Next winner is Gordon McMill. Gordon McMill, thanks for the follow. Thanks for listening. Awesome. Sticker coming your way.
Happy to have you here.
Fellow podcast at Cork Taint. So,
all right.
Thanks for following along. Looking forward to listening.
Love it.
And our last one at New York Foodie. New York Foodie, thanks for the follow. I'll be reaching out. Very exciting. First merch. That's our winners. We'll come at you again next time.
And thanks to everybody.
Thanks for participating, people.
Yeah, for everybody who liked and is interacting. We really appreciate it. It's cool. It's cool that we have merch to give away, and it's cool that people are actually interested enough to like it. That's pretty surreal that the three of us have merch that we're sending to people.
It's pretty cool.
It's very weird.
Very weird.
And I'm going to reach out. I'll ask you which ones you want, and we'll send them your way. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
All right, cool.
If I had a choice, I'd be choosing that certified porch pounder one. That was pretty rad.
Welcome to Stop Wasting Your Wine, a wine review podcast where we waste our wine so you don't have to. On this episode, we review
a white wine from France.
Welcome to the show. If this is your first time listening, we appreciate you checking us out. If you're one of our fantastic regulars, welcome back. My name is Colin, and I'm joined by two of the most impressive polyglots that I know, Aaron and Joel. How are we doing?
I wish that was true. I wish I could speak more than one language.
That's what that means.
I've tried. I can't.
I needed to first understand what that word meant to be able to react. So thank you for saying that.
Well, Joel, you're probably the closest. I mean, you speak a little Hungarian, right?
If I'm the closest to a polywog, was that the word?
No, I believe that's a Pokemon. Polyglot is the word.
Polyglot. We're in bad shape. No, I learned. I not really. I learned from my grandma and my dad. Some pleasantries and some curse words, and that's about it. So no, I wouldn't say so. I wish I knew more. You want to learn some Hungarian curse
word?
You want to learn?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to teach you one thing. Okay, ready? Repeat after me. Ready? It's 3 words. Shokeg. Meg. Fenniket. Yeah. Now put it together. Shokeg, Meg, Fenniket.
Shokeg, Meg,
Fenniket.
You just learned how to say kiss my ass in Hungarian.
All right.
How about that?
I can't wait to yell that out my window at someone.
Shokeg, Meg,
but need 2 minutes to do it.
Yeah. You'll have to go back and listen to this podcast to remind you how to do it.
To wait for a red light and be like, hold on, I got this.
All of our Hungarian listeners immediately offended.
Yeah, probably. Probably more offended by my pronunciation of some of those words. So if that's the case, I'm sorry. I think I was pretty close, though. I'll ask my dad.
I'm sure we butchered that.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I have tried so many languages and I just can't do it, man. I've tried Italian, French, German, Arabic. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't get them any in my head.
Yeah, I tried Spanish for a while, and it's tough. It's really tough. It's an impressive skill for people that can do it and do it well.
Some people can just do it like it's their brain works. I had a friend who would just learn like languages for fun. She had like 4 or 5 tucked away.
That's crazy.
Seems like a cheat code. Unfair.
What a cool skill. Yeah. I wish I was that way. Sometimes I'll convince myself, like I'll like Spanish, because we're down here in Florida where there's a lot of Spanish speaking around us. And I feel like sometimes I'm like, yes, I think if I put a little bit of time in here, I could get pretty, maybe not fluent, but at least to where I can understand pretty well.
Conversational.
Do it. Yeah, conversational these days.
Yeah, I can pick up words here and there, but I'm definitely not, I hesitate to ever try to speak it because I get so
That's
nervous and go, oh man. Yeah, for sure. They're like, oh, look at that gringo trying to speak Spanish.
It's so much different speaking alone to yourself or to an app, and then someone walks in and they say a word to you, and you're like, hola. Like it just gets really bad.
Terrifying. You almost forget everything that you previously learned, and you're frozen.
Even like going to like a restaurant and ordering an Italian anything, I'm like, I know how to pronounce this in a way that sounds Italian. Like I've done Italian songs, but something inside of me is like, don't even try to lean into an Italian accent. Just sound stupid American. And then I say it worse than I know I can.
If you just leaned into it, I bet you would nail it. Like Kathy and I, when we were going to France, we learned a little bit, and we were like, hey, let's go to Disney, let's go to Epcot, go to France, and just order a glass of champagne in French. Like have the whole conversation in French. And we're like, this will be a good test.
So
we got
cute.
there. Yeah. And we figured it's Disney. They have to be nice to you. There's no pressure. Even in that scenario, we chickened out at the last minute. I was like, champagne, please.
Well, I appreciate your dedication to the craft of drinking wine at Disney, and we're going to be drinking some wine tonight. So, Joel, you want to tell us a little bit about the wine we're drinking?
Yes.
The closest to France we're getting on the Stop Wasting Your Wine budget right now.
For now. We'll see. Hey, it's not cheap either, is it?
It is not.
All right. Today we are drinking, like we said, a white wine from France. This is the Lucien Albrecht Tradition Pinot Gris. This is from Alsace, France. It has an ABV of 14%, and we picked it up for $22.99, and this is the 2020 vintage.
Joel, you said Pinot Gris.
Yes.
Is that the same as Pinot Grigio?
So glad you're asking me, because I had the same question as I was saying that word, and I have no idea. Colin, do you know?
Yeah, so it is actually the same grape, and it is mostly, and this isn't even true in all situations, but it's mostly a style differentiator. But when it comes down to it, it's really more where the wine is from is going to be a better indication of style than whether it says Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio. But they're, as far as the base grape, the words are totally interchangeable. Pinot Gris is going to be a little bit of a fuller wine. It might be a little sweeter, where Pinot Grigio is going to be your traditional, like think Italian Pinot Grigio. It's going to be bright and crisp and acidic. And that's really the main difference. But again, it all comes down to where.
Same grape, different area. Got it.
Yeah, same grape, different area, can be different style.
Different style. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that actually, so this was my pick, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to try this one was the region of Alsace. I was thinking I wanted to try a Pinot Gris because we've only done one other Pinot Gris, and that was during the grocery store wine showdown, which nobody's listened to. So for most people, we haven't done any Pinot Gris.
It's a good episode too. Go back if you haven't. It's fun.
It's go back and listen
episode.
to it. It's hilarious and sad and funny and depressing and wonderful all at the same time.
And we'll be the first to tell you not to go back to some of our early episodes, okay?
Yeah.
But this one, recommended.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Check it out.
A good one. It's a different flow to the show. We review 3 wines instead of just one. Try to find a good good cheap wine, mostly a disaster. But so
The episode is wonderful. The wines were a
Yes.
disaster.
That's right. That's right.
It's enjoyable to listen to how bad the wines were.
Thank you for clarifying.
It's fun. It's fun.
So I wanted to bring up Pinot Gris on just because we've only had one, and that was more of the traditional, what you would think of a Pinot Grigio, the Italian crisp, bright, acidic. And Alsace has more of that. It's going to be more of the other style. It's going to be a little bit richer, a little bit fuller body, a little bit more alcohol. This one's 14%, which, for Pinot Grigio, if you were thinking the Italian version, is really that's a pretty heavy Pinot Grigio. So I really wanted to get into this style because it's such a contrast to the other style, and Alsace is known for its world-class Pinot Gris.
I love it. And just for my my friends out there who, like me, weren't familiar with Alsace, we keep saying Alsace. That is the region that we're talking about. Is Alsace. It kind of sounds like we're saying just Alsace, which I guess we are, but it is the name of the region, Alsace, France, Alsace.
This is not a sauce review podcast. This is a wine review podcast.
It is all sauce. Stop wasting your sauce.
Stop wasting your sauce. Spin-off?
Next week, ragu.
That would be gross.
I don't think that one has the legs.
For us, I think.
I don't like that one.
So a couple weeks ago, we were graced with our very first wine rant from Aaron, and he has been generous enough to grace us with yet another one about Alsace. So Aaron, learn us something.
It's time for a history rant with Aaron.
All right, buckle up, folks. This one is a doozy.
Buckle up.
I'm excited because, well, this is a region that I had actually learned a little bit about in the past. And it wasn't until Colin mentioned this episode that these memories woke in my mind, going back Mr. Guilfoyle's 12th grade AP World History class. Shout out to Mr. Guilfoyle. And learning about this town of Strasbourg that
Mr. G.
He's going to. I still speak to him online, and I'm going to tell him I shout him out, and that's going to be one more listener.
I love that.
He's wonderful. And learning about this town of Strasbourg that sits right on the border of France and Germany. This is the appellation of Alsace, and it is in a pretty contested area. Now, from a terroir standpoint, this should be producing some of the best wine in the world. It is between a mountain range and a river. There's lots of rolling hills. There's lots of fertile ground. And from very early on, it produced wonderful wine. But it has a ridiculous history. So Alsace was actually invaded by the Roman Empire in 58 BC, and the Romans brought over the vines and taught them how to grow wine. So it's actually a super old wine growing county. And from the very beginning, they did a great job. So much so that Italians actually started invading the area and killing wine producers because they were competing with their wine. And the Roman Empire had to create a law that made killing a wine producer in Alsace punishable by double the normal punishment because they wanted people to stop going over there and messing with them.
Double
the
death.
Italians were so mad about the wine trade. It's just we made jokes last week about people shooting across the left-right banks. And it's
the banks.
I made a joke. I made the joke knowing European history. That's exactly what has happened in Alsace for 2,000 years. So they're in the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire falls in the 400s, which only thought about the Roman Empire falling today. They become part of another area that then becomes part of the Holy Roman Empire, which is, for all intents and purposes, German. And they stay as part of the Holy Roman Empire for another 600 years or so. They start making really good wines again. Everyone's really excited about it. And then, fun fact along the way, they start dealing with some really weird problems. There's the 1518 dancing plague of Strasbourg, which 50 to 400 people started sporadically dancing for weeks at a time. People start dying of heart attacks. No one really knows why it happened.
Yeah, that can't be real.
I swear to God,
That's
Google
ridiculous.
it. Google the 1518 dancing plague.
It's the most
It is
insane thing
real.
I've ever heard.
And that seemed really bad until the actual Black
That's
Death
no
came
thing.
in 2 years later, and from 1520 to 1530 killed about 60% of all the people that lived there.
I'd much rather dance than get the plague.
Put a
Yeah.
damper on the winemaking yet again. So again, you have this incredible region making wine, and then like every couple hundred years, something terrible happens and messes it all up. So then, again, they seem to be doing okay until the 30-year war happens and France takes over from Germany. So now you start to enter this time where like you have this generally German area focusing on German wines and German wine production, and now it's French. And so now they're in a French area, and people in that area are starting to speak this weird combination of French and German. They have their German wines that are generally more sweet, but now like the French are getting involved, and the French tradition in the area starts to be more dry. That goes on for a while until 1870, and then there's the Franco-German War, in which France wins again and annexes it, or sorry, Germany wins that one and annexes it back to Germany. They hang on to it for another 50 years, 40 years until World War I, and France wins that part and annexes it back to France. They hang on to it for another 20 years, and then World War II happens, and the Nazis immediately annex the region again back to Germany, and they immediately conscript all the men there and put them in the German army. And they're part of Nazi Germany for 4 years. Also,
That's
forgot to
insane.
mention in the 1850s, there was a wine plague that some knucklehead botanist brought over from America, of all places. They brought over these weird pests called the
Phylloxera.
Thank you. Phylloxera. And were these like insects that destroyed 90% of all the vineyards in Europe.
Yep. Huge problem.
And so literally, again, this region has gone from wars going through destroying everything, plagues going through destroying the wine, plagues going through and killing the people, a weird mix of switching the wine styles back and forth, people speaking a weird mix of the language, and a weird dance plague, which then resulted all the way going up to 1945, where it's finally permanently part of France. Doesn't become an official appellation all the way through until 1962, again, because they had to like really sort everything out, at which point we now have the appellation of Alsace, which has hundreds of producers in it. It has a 105-mile road that goes from South Alsace to North Alsace, at which point, if you travel on it, you go through 119 different wine villages, and you can go through the whole road tasting everything.
I know where my next vacation is.
Like every mile, there's a
awesome
winery.
Yeah. And so it's finally now, like over the past 50 years, establishing the tradition of the amazing area that it should be. But it's just taken this ridiculous long amount of time because of this wild back and forth, just being in that area so close to Germany, so close to France, that it's just been constantly like ravaged by war, disease, changes in cultures, wild, wild stuff.
Wine in some shape or another has been made there for 2,070 years.
Yeah.
And all of that has happened in that time.
It's crazy.
And even and
That's insane.
The super weird, like even with all that and like being in the modern time, the wine there is still like a kind of a wild mix of cultures, right? Like they have 4 noble wines in the appellation, and they are Riesling, Pinot Gris, a Muscat, and Gewürztraminer.
Huh.
Gewürztraminer.
Yeah, Gewürztraminer.
Thank you.
Oh,
I got there
nice.
too. But it's really funny looking at Pinot Gris, Muscat, Riesling, Gewürztraminer, and like even the stylistic aspect. It's like French has the dry wines, but now there's like some places trying to make the sweeter wines because they're trying to connect with their German stuff, and it just keeps going back and forth. A couple other fast facts. There's 3 appellations as part of the region. There's the major appellation of Alsace. There's the Alsace Grand Cru, which is 51 producers that have specifically been designated to be high quality producers, and they have to use those 4 noble grapes from that area. And then Cremant d'Alsace, going back to our Cremant episode, that is one of the places where they make the sparkling wine. And fun fact for our Hungarian host, Joel, for a long time, the Pinot Gris was called Tokay, but they actually had to go into a dispute with Hungary, and they made a deal in 1993 that by 2007, they would stop using that phrase because it was sounded too similar to Hungary's very famous sweet wine. And they felt like Alsace was stealing their good PR.
They said you can shokeg make feneked and get out of here with that.
Well
right?
done. But yeah. And Tokai is Hungary's sweet wine, if you weren't familiar.
Tokai. So it's Tokay was what they were calling it in Tokai. I can see why there'd be confusion there. So 2,000 years for 105 miles of really great wine area. And they're finally like at a point now where they're consistently French. So well done. You did it. You're French now.
God.
For now.
Ooh, dub. That was wild, man. That's what's so cool about wine, too. Like, I know beer has a cool history, bourbon has a cool history, but like wine has such a cool and long history that just intertwines amongst all of these huge historical events, and in some ways impacts them or is impacted by them. And it's just wild to hear about these things. Thank you for bringing that.
We just went through one region that included the fall of Rome, the bubonic plague, World War I, World War II, the 30 Years' War, and a dance plague. And you can't get that with anything else.
Very cool. Aaron, thank you so much. That was amazing. And that absolutely got me ramped up to try this wine. So what do you say, guys? And let's get into it.
Okay.
Tastes like wine.
So let's get our noses in this one. Aaron, why don't you go first?
Definitely has, that citrusy smell that we get a little bit with white wines. And I know, and this is not Riesling, but there's something in there that Colin, there's a smell I can't put my finger on. I'm sure you're going to tell me it smells like golf balls or something, but there's something in there. But definitely that citrusy smell for sure.
Joel?
Yeah, definitely that. What's interesting is it's like definitely gets citrus, but it's not overwhelming. And I think it's like maybe a little bit of peach in there as well, but nothing. It's very soft all the way around,
Definitely.
If that makes sense.
I agree totally. And I'm not sure, Aaron, what you're talking about. I don't know if I get anything too out of the ordinary on this. I definitely agree. A little bit of that peach, a little bit of maybe a little bit lemon limey.
Maybe that's what I'm going back to. Maybe it's that lemon lime kind of mix.
A little bit of pear too. Maybe it's very kind of green fruit, and then there's almost like a melon on there too. It kind of reminds me of the melon, the scent from melon. You get like a honeydew or something like that. It has a little vanilla edge, but it's not vanilla. It's more of that kind of hint of melon. But there's definitely some nice fruit going on in here for sure.
Yeah. Earlier when I said, I want to just also make sure people know, when I say soft, when I said like it was all kind of soft, I don't mean that in a bad way. And I think we've said before,
this wine is soft.
It's not a lot. Yeah, no. But I mean, like, we've said before where things are muted. I'm using air quotes and things like that. There's some stuff going on here. It's just all very, like, I think we're going to taste this and this is going to be really, really smooth and kind of decadent. That's it.
That's a nice word.
Weirdly, one of the smelling notes that I'm getting is that I think it's going to taste that way, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. And I think it's all the flavors, there's not one that sticks out, which is, there's not like one that really punches you in the face. They all kind of meld together, which I think is like, I'm having kind of a hard time pulling out individual flavors. I mean, it smells nice and it smells fruity, but like this is the first wine in a while where I'm like, I'm having a really hard time picking out individual things.
Well, if you're having a hard time with that, no wonder I'm over here having like a stroke. I was like, I don't know. No, but I think I get what you're saying. It's all kind of blending together into a uniform smell, and you really have to pull it apart. But it has like a nice aroma to it. That's just, this is the smell of that wine. It's not all these different things. So let's drink it now.
Yeah, I think we should. Let's taste it. Joel, are you getting that? You picking up on the palate? That kind of nice. What was the word that you used?
I said decadent. I think the word I said is decadent, and I think I know. I think I'm right. I had my sip, and I support what I said. And the Beatles song "A Taste of Honey" popped into my head because that's what I'm getting when I drink this. Still getting what we were talking about before. the citrusy coming through. There's like a nice honey, soft thing going on too that just kind of makes this whole thing really. There's another word other than smooth.
Smooth.
It's almost velvety, the texture.
Yeah. Okay,
Creamy.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Creamy. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, totally, Aaron.
I was gonna say I was gonna lean into the. I'm not really. My brain isn't connecting any of the specific flavors, but I was gonna lean to like, it has that kind of creamy feel to it, or just say like medium dry on this, but it's not.
Yeah, off dry for sure. There's definitely some sugar in there.
It's not super dry by any means. Like, I know we're talking about Alsace having dry wines and then having that kind of balance between the German tradition and the French tradition. It's like, this feels like something kind of in the middle of dry and sweet.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely think there's some residual sugar in here, which works because the acid on this bad boy is way high. You get a ton of acid, but I think the sugar kind of balances that out. Structurally, very nice sip.
100%. I got to tell you, I had a couple of sips. The acid didn't stick out to me, but then I put my glass down, and a couple seconds later, I was like, I'm feeling it in my cheeks. I feel that little burn, and it almost took me by surprise because when you're drinking it, everything else kind of comes together, and I don't think it sticks out that much, but it lingers.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I think, Joel, you said honey, which I think is when you said honey, I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm going to take back the melon, and I even think, Aaron, that might be the little, like, how honey can sometimes have like an earthy note to it. It's not always just sweet. There's some other stuff going on in the honey. I think that is maybe what you're getting, because when Joel said honey, I was like, that's absolutely it. And I think that even, again, is a better descriptor than melon. But I definitely do get some peach, absolutely peach in there. You definitely get a little bit of citrus, but again, it's not like high on lemon. It's almost like a nice fruit cocktail is kind of what this kind of is.
Sounds refreshing.
It is actually. And the crazy part about it, and this is lended to the acid, but this wine is really refreshing, but it's so smooth and velvety to drink. This is one of the nicer mouthfeel wines. Just experience alone, not even thinking about flavor, just like the physical aspect of drinking this wine is really something special, in my opinion.
I would say one thing about this wine, and this is not a knock to the wine, this is a knock to me in my prep. I've had this wine sitting out for a little bit now, and I'm kind of pouring my glass. This is a wine I'd probably want to keep in the fridge in between pours or in a bucket of ice, because I think when I was first drinking this and it was really chilled, it definitely complemented the wine better than now that it's sat out a little bit. Like, this is a wine I'd like to keep a little colder.
Yeah, that's fair. So I think we've had a pretty good discussion here. Who wants to go first? I'll let you guys decide.
Yeah, but did they like it? It's time for the review.
I'll go first. So I often say that at the beginning of these episodes, I'll like pour a little glass for my wife and she'll test it out. And today I poured her a little bit. She's just a little bit, we're cheating. So just a little bit. So sure. So I poured her a little bit and she
just a little bit.
She like took a sip and turned to walk away and turned back around and was like, more. I was like, you like this? She's like, I like this one. Off the bat, passed the first test, second test. Yeah, it's tasty. It is a tasty white wine. I like it. It's a little bit more complex than other white wines that I'm used to before the world of stop wasting your wine and just going to the store and getting a Pinot Grigio or whatever. I really like the feel, the whole shebang of it, and also it's a solid drinker. Like we didn't talk about this when talking about the flavor itself. It's a 14% white wine. So there's
true
from that perspective, it's very well balanced. Like, you don't taste the alcohol, you don't smell the alcohol, but it's in there. And so that's a good sign just for the overarching quality of the wine itself. This isn't a wine fridge wine to me. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not on that level, but I would happily put this out on the kitchen table. And like I said with the previous wine where I did my history rant, I will use this as a conversation starter to browbeat someone with history until they drink the whole bottle of wine just to escape my fury. So solid kitchen table wine for me.
Joel?
Yeah, I sort of a similar thing here, Aaron. I've been thinking this whole time, this isn't my typical type of wine that I gravitate toward, but I'm so impressed with what I'm drinking and kind of the style and the new area to get into here. So if this is what Alsace is bringing, and this is what Pinot Gris is, I'm looking forward to trying more of these, even though it's kind of outside of my norm. So I'm with you. I'm putting it right on the kitchen table. I'm intrigued by it. I want to share it with my friends and see what they think. I think it's cool going into a little bit more of an unknown area, perhaps, and maybe a little less celebrated. And one with, as you walked us through, such a cool kind of history. And it is a great conversation starter. And right there, even just saying, oh, this is from Alsace, we talk about, hey, making sure that you have a little confidence talking about your wine and bringing something cool wine related to the table. What a cool thing there. That just brings you a little bit of clout right then and there. So, yep, going on the kitchen table and happy to have this new region on my radar.
Yeah, and I would agree. It's definitely a solid kitchen table one. And I would say, like, honestly, I think the mouthfeel is a wine fridge wine. Like, I love the experience of drinking this. No, it's not. Overall, it's not a wine fridge wine. But just if this was the mouthfeel podcast and we just rated mouthfeel.
Oh, that sounds weird. Let's not pivot in that direction, okay?
Of wine. Mouthfeel of wine.
Stop wasting your mouthfeels. Only the best mouthfeels here.
It's a little better, I guess.
No, keep it. Keep the original. Keep the laughter. Keep the awkward. Keep going.
This would easily be a wine fridge wine because it's so unique. It's really, I think, in my opinion, something special. Like, we haven't had a wine, really red or white, that's really taken me on quite the journey that the mouthfeel of this one does. So from that perspective, unbelievable. The flavors are nice. There's nothing offensive or terrible about it. It's not terribly complex. There's a couple things in there. So that kind of, not like, if this was just like, if we had a list of flavors that we could rattle off plus the mouthfeel, wine fridge, no problem. But because I think, it's maybe not the most complex, it gets a slight downgrade to the table, but like the front of the table for sure. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's a really good wine. And I think Alsace is definitely a region that's slept on because people just don't know about it. It's another one of those things where if you were to see Alsace on the bottle, most people would probably pass it up because they just don't know anything about it.
People aren't sure what country it's in anymore.
Yeah.
France, I don't know.
And it could be different by the time this podcast airs. So.
That's right.
So I think pretty clearly here, listening to you guys, pretty clear, not a waste of your wine.
No, absolutely
not a waste of your wine. Absolutely not.
Yeah, give this one a try.
just to rock through, this is Lucien Albrecht, the Pinot Gris from Alsace, France, 14%, $22.99. So sub $25 for a really decent Pinot Gris.
Yep,
definitely not a waste.
Give it a shot. All right. I have my own hat that I'm going to pick names out of to do the social media part of the show. So, no, that's a lie. I'll just let Aaron do it. Go ahead.
Ring. All right. So, like always, please check out our website at stopwastingyourwine.com. We have all of our episodes updated on there and our reviews, what we think about the wine, where it landed. You can also listen to our episodes directly through the website.
I didn't even know that. That's pretty cool.
Please follow us and like us and rate us. You can rate our episodes on whatever app you use to listen to your podcasts. If it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube, follow, like, subscribe. It would be a huge help for us. Please follow us on Instagram if you haven't yet. It's really exciting, really cool people interacting with the podcast. We're just really excited to be here, really excited to share this all with you. Colin's working on the merch site, stopwastingwine.com/merch. Congrats to the folks who won. As always, keep listening. Love having you. We'll see you next week.
And remember, stop wasting your wine.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.